right, so this one's going to be talking about dealing with setbacks, all right? And what I mean by setbacks is not necessarily like losses, all right? So, just adjust it while I'm driving. So, as you can see, my face is nice and fat, all right? I normally don't take any medications whatsoever. I'm a pretty hippie to the heart. But I'm also not stupid. You know, if I got into a car accident and my arm got ripped off, I would definitely go to the doctor. But I'm not one to go to the doctors, this and that. But I've been having chronic migraines, and I don't get migraines. So I knew it was most likely muscle related. Well, one day, about 2 weeks ago, damn, this shit's shaking. I was laying on the sofa with my daughter before bringing her to school, before I'm gonna go teach class, and I got up and I started spinning out everywhere. So we just thought automatically, vertigo. Never had it before. I have bad equilibrium as it is, so like I can't ride rides and things like that. Sometimes riding in the back seat messes me up. So anyway, it's like, I'm dizzy, whatever. Well, this carried on throughout the day. It got worse, and then it stayed for probably about 3 days. Like, I was pretty sick. So I'm a firefighter, so we had a fire at night, and I had some sniffles, and so if anybody doesn't know, fire's pretty bad for you. So all the smoke and chemicals made my sinuses much worse, so they thought there was just a lot of pressure in my ear. So I ended up getting some prednisone because nothing was working. Well, that worked. Man, I felt like $1,000. So I took that for a while. That went away. 5 days later, even after training again, exercising, training, teaching class, the next day I go in class, we're messing around with loop chokes, me and another high-level guy working on different entries, setups, things like that. And all of a sudden he does it. And I was like, man, take it. I was like, wait, hold on. He's like, I got you good. I was like, no, man, the room's spinning. And I fell out again. So the setback I had was for the past 2 weeks, man, I've been out pretty much. All right. I've been able to teach class twice. They've extremely slow moving. Make me a better teacher, articulate my words more effectively than trying to use the motions of my body. Try to teach it from a more verbal standpoint. But at the same time, like, I got another 2 weeks to go that I cannot roll whatsoever. Like, you cannot touch my neck. You cannot touch my neck. So I do have an iron neck. So I started an iron neck rehab process. I already feel it. It's crazy. I've had it for a couple of years. I use it a few times, this and that. As much as I thought I was working with my neck or my posture and things like that, it caught up. All right, it simply caught up. You're never going to be perfect, okay? You're in a combative sport. I've abused my body for years on end, okay? So these are the things that you are going to have to deal with. They are going to happen. There's no way around it. I was able to weather the storm long enough to where it didn't really bother me till later in my age, but now I'm suffering chronic migraines and getting vertigo and thrown up all over the place. So, did a CT scan, nothing wrong with my brain. Thank the Lord, from MMA, I got about a gazillion concussions. There's no bone structural issues whatsoever, so it's really just all soft tissue manipulation. I'm actually going right now to work with someone. So, between the rehab process, the manipulation of soft tissue, which I have a special PT kind of / massage therapist guy that comes to my house. I've already paid him up front for 6 weeks. He's gonna have to come once a week, if he can, twice a week, for the next 6 weeks, just to get me back onto the road of proper recovery. So dealing with these type of setbacks will actually only make you stronger. There's multiple times I've heard multiple athletes in jiu-jitsu where they've had injuries and actually had to change their game, and it allowed them to actually become better than they've ever were before, due to the fact that they could not work on the things they normally would because of the injuries. And so one thing I can do for sure, right, is work on the leg game. I'm not going to sit there and make excuses about like, well, I can't train this and that. I can train. As long as you don't basically yank on my arms and yank on my neck, I'm pretty good to go. So yes, I may not be able to do a lot of active rolling, all right? But until I get all these neck issues resolved and head issues resolved, just like yesterday, I sat back with one of my brown belts and we just played the leg game. We went over the entries, went over the counters, you know, we just kind of did the flow, you know. You're still able to train. You can still train your mind, all right? So yes, physically I'm not about to put some of the effort that I normally would put into it, but it'll just better me in the long run anyway, all right? So when you're dealing with setbacks, don't look at the negatives, look at the positives.